briefed by the representatives of the projects on the latest developments being implemented so far, where the President thanked decent life volunteers for their relentless efforts. The President Sisi also addressed the attendees, asking for a minute of silence to mourn the Egyptian victims of the Libyan hurricane, expressing appreciation for all Egyptians who work hard in face of the challenges. Here is the President's full address.
Most passionate, they were actually in a hurry and a rush, and anyway, in the name of Allah. Ladies and gentlemen, the esteemed guests, our kind people in the Beni Suef governorate, the great people of Egypt, I start my speech today in such a great gathering from the sons of our precious Upper Egypt, and by extension a solution, a great solution to all Egyptians those that are proving every day that they are the sons of a very historical civilization and a strong nation. Such a solution is a necessity for each Egyptian citizen, working by all means to confront challenges for the sake of our precious and beloved Egypt. And I assure you all that our great nation, based on our belief, is capable to build the future and to cultivate the hope and establish stability. It is our profession since history, since the beginning of history, and our kind beloved land at the beginning of the history, and will be the beginning of the future, God willing, by determination and well. The great people of Egypt, I say to you sincerely and by clear verses, I totally appreciate the volume of suffering suffered by the Egyptian families in confronting the burdens of living as a result of the multi-world crisis, followed by the COVID-19 and doubled by the Ukrainian-Russian war. And I assure you once again that we've exerted all the effort to contain such negative impact by all capacities and capabilities. Without our preceded preparations by urgent economic reforms, the crisis would have been tripled and doubled by, thanks to the Almighty God and by a very scientific and systematic will, we've managed to overcome such a crisis without hindering the wheel of production or the development planned, and only a few steps ahead of us, God willing, for the sustainable development. On the parallel to achieve the economic development, our will to achieve in a similar case on the political level, based on our belief that the vitality of the Egyptian society by all components, it is a positive add-on for the state and a firm for its richness and its capability of innovation and creation, as well as the capabilities of Egyptians in finding common ground. I launched the my invitation for the national dialogue that gathered all the Egyptian fabrics, and the first package of its output is encouraging to continue, and therefore our immediate response as being consensus by the political and societal arenas participated in the dialogue, and I directed the government to study and lay out its mechanism of execution, as well as the effort of the state has been doubled to fostering this stability in the light of the regional threats as a result of the escalation of conflicts that affect the national security of Egypt. I sincerely say to you that the state apparatus is exerting extensive effort to cooperate by a hard course in order to stable our internal status quo. The great people of Egypt, ladies and gentlemen, the Egyptian citizen still is yet the national hero, as well as their life quality and responding to its aspiration, maintain its potential is our main goal. And the whole Egyptian in our consciousness, I work for the sakeness of the love of the Almighty God, and I pursue by providing the means of living. Therefore, the measurement of the statement for the sakeness of the citizens to be the common share of the citizen, and such as the national project of development of the country of Egypt through the Decent Life initiative to make the most needed person the most beneficiary stakeholder. And I speak to you clearly that the Egyptian voices, as well as their dreams, are mine, and their hopes are the same with mine. I feel their needs and I appreciate it. Therefore, I directed the government and the relevant institution to execute as following. Firstly, to increase the exceptional bonus of the increasing the life to be 600 Egyptian pound instead of 300 to all working in the public servant as the private sector. Secondly, to increase the minimum income for the sixth grade to be 4,000 Egyptian pound instead of 3,500 Egyptian pound. To all workers of the administrative body in the state as well as the economic institution accordingly. Thirdly, to increase the maximum of the tax exemptions of the percentage of 25% to be 45,000 Egyptian pounds for all workers in the administrative body of the state as well as the economic institution and the private sector. Fourthly, to increase all the granted money segmentation for the beneficiary of Takaful, Kaul and Karama for all the compensation people in a total of 5 million families. Fifth, to double the exceptional grant to the beneficiary of the compensation to be 600 Egyptian pounds instead of 300 of a total of 11 million Egyptian citizens. Sixthly, to regulate to imply for the journalist as the seventh, for the Egyptian Agriculture Bank to initiate an initiative to medicate the young farmers of the regular individuals who are having problems with the banks before January 2024. Fifth, to exempt all the hinders to pay their bills the delay of fines, of genuine fines for the construction and agricultural projects of the maximum at the end of 2024. We're talking about the profit. The great people of Egypt. Egypt would last our precious and beloved country as the connection point that gathered the heart of the Egyptians in their love and their hands for building up and their dreams for things and pride. And the Egyptian well would last. The secret of our strength and our unity is the guarantee of our existence, and it is provided of the strength of our dreams that fulfill the historical sign of Egypt, and Egypt would prevail, God willing, to the start of the thing, and last, God willing, is the beginning and the future, and by all of us, God willing, long live Egypt, long live Egypt, long live Egypt. I've already finished my speech, but I wish to say a very important message to all of you. There's no doubt, as I said before, it is in a harsh circumstance that you are suffering, but pay attention or just look after, draw your attention that we've lasted for 4 years in a very harsh difficulties to them throughout the whole world due to the issue of COVID-19, as well as the chains or supply chains had been negatively affected, but we've never stopped. The whole world has stopped, and we continued as we are having a great dream to work on it, and a great or other great crisis followed us, and I wish to remind you that we've tried by our difficulties and circumstances and dreams. Once we've started the economic reform plan, started 2016, I said that we are going through a very vast horizons as the growth rate to reach 5.6, and we've hoped to be more than that. In fact, these two crises, one of them still to continue, but I wish to say something. We are talking each year, mostly, I don't wish to say figures, but might draw your attention to make how this effective. We are important in great quantities from the corn and the wheat due to their increases of their prices, as well as the food oils. We've tried as much as possible that such prices do not affect strongly the people and to be in the real price. I'm talking about in 10 million of wheat. If it increased by $100, we are talking a great numbers in order to make the loaf of bread. I see this here. Certainly, I'm from you and I feel you. It's not just saying sweet words to assure them that I'm with you. Do not forget that I am a very humble Egyptian citizen, but God willing wish to make me in this position. It's all by the will of all the Almighty God. I'm not far away from you and your situations. I'm not that far from you. Just let me finish these two words. I'm not saying this to you only. By the way, let me just go back to what I was going to say, that I'm very much concerned. Do you remember, if I had just a greater chance, I swear to Almighty God, I'm not going to hesitate to do anything. I meant to say, in the end, we are trying to mitigate as much as possible vis-à-vis the challenges and difficulties that the whole Egyptians are living, and their stance is to fully appreciated, and I see that your be is just a great thanks to me personally. I'm not saying this. I know it is very difficult circumstances that you are hindering, and I know that people are bearing this. We're doing everything possible for you. I say this not just to let the media say it, but I will say that we are exerting too much effort to enter great quantities of agricultural lands in soon as possible, talking about 3 to 4 million Sudan for 2 to 3 years. So we started such a program 3 years ago, apart from the Egyptian country program that was 2.5 million Sudan, in order to include more agricultural lands to contribute to two things. The first one, job opportunities for our young men and women. We're talking about 2 to 3 million Sudan. Each Sudan would take half an individuals throughout the year. We're talking about 1.5 million young people. Its main goal is to provide or to create opportunities. Secondly, to get the cost of such lands to minimize the importation bill. We are getting things, importing them by US dollar, but seldom the people using the current or the domestic currency, the Egyptian pound. This would be applied only for the food stuff, but any requirement, it is brought by the hard currency. Another important point, I wish you to know that each US dollar is increasing in price of the oil, the petrol barrel. It's cost by billions yearly. Many have said that the issue of El-Daba, I say this frankly, as I said, used to be, or the electricity station, do we have too many electrical or electricity stations to generate an increase of the productions? Yes, we had a budget in order to save the gas and the oil on a specific figure. The budget was 65 US dollar per barrel. If it is 70 or 75 or 80, or if it is now by 90, the crisis that we are mentioning We're not just saying it is just a crisis and its impact, but it is a reflection for prices of many things that we are brought from abroad. Some would say that we are producing gas, thanks to the Almighty God that we are producing gas. If we're not doing so, we would have had a greater problem. I say this more frankly, I say again, if I make a budget of the barrel to be 65 or 70, 80 US dollar, if it is 90, I have to. Oh, one thing, have you ever felt of the volume or the talk of the vehicles of Egypt? We're talking about 10 million car or vehicles in Egypt. It is you should find your demand by the solar or the gas or the oil or the petrol that should be provided. We're talking on a state or a country of 1.5 million plus our guest is 9 million. Are they contained in Egypt? God willing, yes, we've contained them in Egypt. Are we preserved by the Almighty God? I personally feel that we've contained by the assistance of the Almighty God. I hope you accept our saying in these difficulties, and I thank you very much for your patience, for bearing, and pray to the Almighty God to assist us all. We are not doing anything bad as Egypt in its policies. By the assistance of the Almighty God, it is important to say, to be self-assured that we're not doing harm. We are trying to be a good factor in our dealing. If there is a problem, we're trying to solve it steadily and by patience. Therefore, I thank you. Thank you very much.
حط رجلك عالطريق الصح ده لكل واحد دول. الدنيا دي زي الحكاية واحنا فيها سطور. الفرصة جاتلك اكتب اسمك من حروف بالنور، من حروف بالنور. خطوة بتجيب علامك وبترسم ابتسامك فوق وش الخلق ياما. خطوة خدها ما تستناش. خطوة بتبان بسيطة بتغير الخريطة. دنيا الغيرك جديدة يعني فرصة وما تسيبهاش. خطوة ولو تمشيها تدي حياة.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and you are still watching our local time and our special coverage to President Fattah Sisi's visit to Beni Suef Governorate, and to shed more light on this visit and the inauguration of a number of projects